Ladies and gentlemen, Movies with Mark.
There we are. All right. It's always such a surprise to suddenly be here electronically.
Yeah.
So, do you experience sound differently since you watched this movie?
Go ahead,
I
Mo.
do. I do.
Yeah.
I see that yawn or that sigh, and then it was so quiet for a while. I found after I watched this movie, I find myself being really quiet and listening to everything. And now the name of this movie is A Quiet Place, directed by John Krasinski, written by two guys whose names I forget, and John Krasinski, starring John Krasinski and his wife, Emily Blunt, who he's actually married to, and she's actually married to him. They're married to each other in real life, as they are in the movie. And I find it remarkable to watch this movie. I've watched it now a couple of times, and every time I watch it, I come away from it tiptoeing everywhere. Shall I do a little précis of the plot, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the situation?
Yeah. It's a Quiet Place Part 1, right?
This is Part 1. A Quiet Place Part 1. They did make a sequel, Part 2, which I've also seen, but don't remember a thing about. It's probably pretty good too, because I think Krasinski directed that too. But he's an actor. John Krasinski, if you don't know, is Jim in The Office.
Yes.
And generally established himself as a big doofus with that character. But he's since he's branched out into directing, obviously. And also it plays Jack Ryan in a television series on some streaming platform.
Netflix.
Plays Jack Ryan, a role that's been played by, let's see if we can name all the Jack Ryans. Ben Affleck actually played Jack Ryan at one point. Harrison Ford played him notably in several films. Who else has played Jack Ryan? I think Chris Pike played Jack Ryan.
Chris Pine, Harrison Ford,
Chris Pine, yeah.
Alec Baldwin,
Ben
Affleck, and Richard Vidan.
Richard who?
Vidan.
I don't know him. I missed that one.
Yep.
I'm sorry. It's Amazon Prime was not Netflix. My son corrected me. Yeah.
Okay.
My son corrected me.
Oh, good. Your son corrected you?
Yes.
Does he correct you as often as he can?
Yeah, that's what
he's very tactful about it. He's a bright young man. If he sets me straight, he does it in a kind way. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that he does it in a kind way.
Yes.
My son corrects me too all the time, constantly. I didn't know I was so wrong. I'm not sure how I made it this far.
Me either. I think we forgot. We probably forgot a lot. That's probably what it is.
It must be.
We're heading into our twilight years.
Yeah. Anyway, A Quiet Place is about a post-apocalyptic world, I think we have to call it. It's a world after the planet has been invaded, and this is all stuff that we have to pick up in bits and pieces from newspaper clippings, things that are on the wall, the little bits of information that we have, but by some alien species that is blind and is incredibly strong and voracious, hungry, but all it can do is hear. I don't think it can smell, otherwise it would find its way around. It may be able to taste, but who knows? It eats so quickly that maybe it can't taste. But
it's very ugly too. It's a very ugly creature.
Really ugly, but it's a monster. It's a monster movie, but in the sort of the trope of the genre recently is that all monsters, alien monsters, are slightly insect-like. And this one is slightly humanoid in that it does stand on two legs and has two arms with big insect-like pinchers on the hands and on the feet. A head, and it has an exoskeleton, a skeleton on the outside, but it almost must have a skeleton on the inside too. But it seems to have an impermeable or very difficult to destroy exoskeleton, and it doesn't have eyes, but its face opens up with this sort of shell-like thing, or almost like a bud opening up, a flower, and it's just a big ear inside, because it hears really well. All of its senses are gone, but it hears really well. Hence, the family, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, his daughter, and two sons to begin with the movie with, have to be really, really quiet everywhere they go. And they've been, we're told at the beginning, it's day 89 of this event, these creatures having been here, and we see that they've been all over the planet, Shanghai, I think there's London, they're everywhere. Apparently it's all over the place. There are people still alive. Obviously, this family's still alive, but they've managed to figure out a way to be quiet everywhere. They don't wear shoes anywhere, which is stunning to me. I mean, shoes are pretty quiet, but they pour sand. I don't know where they get the sand, but they pour sand on all the paths that they take normally, because that will quiet their thing. You have to be really quiet like that. You have to be.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom, watch it. Oh, I heard that.
Tom would never be able to.
Tom wouldn't be. Tom
No.
would be babbling away constantly.
He can't even whisper. He tries to whisper, and you can hear him across the room. He wouldn't.
Listen, I would be farting like a mom. As they
Yeah,
say.
snoring.
Yeah, and
How do you-
and they'd be all over me. I wouldn't last a minute.
Yeah.
Well, how do
Anyway.
you sleep if you snore?
If you snore, how do you sleep if you snore? I don't know. You don't snore, or your partner nudges you and wakes you up quietly. They do things. There are, I think there are holes. They manage to talk if they're down in the cellar with a mattress pulled over the opening to the cellar. They can talk, but very little. There's hardly any dialogue in it. The first time that I recognized that I was hearing a sound was when Krasinski and Emily Blunt dance, and she's got a headphone in, and she puts one earplug from the headphone into his ear, and suddenly there's music. Suddenly it's like a normal world. And I found that quite striking, that moment. And so there's very little dialogue. Everybody's quiet. They live on a farm, not in the house, but mostly in the barn of this farm. I guess because it's earth rather than a solid floor, and the barn is more quiet. It's easier to be quiet. The soft earth, the hay, everything absorbs sound. And then there's a sub basement or a basement in this barn, and that's where the real electronic headquarters of what they do, because they have surveillance cameras. They have a system of lights set up. I mean, they've been there for a while, and they've done this, so they've worked out a way, and they're not complacent. But their youngest son, whose name is Bo, the movie opens with them on a trip to town to get supplies, and as if there would be any supplies left after 89 days. 89 days is, what is that? 3 months? 3
Yep.
months. 3 months people have been living like this, dying like this. And their youngest son, Bo, is fascinated. He thinks they can escape it all by getting in a rocket and blasting off and going to outer space, I guess. And he steals a toy of the shuttle, and he puts the batteries. Father takes the batteries out so it won't make noise, so he can play with it. But he puts the batteries back in, not maliciously, just because he's a kid. He knows it makes noise, and he wants to make noise. And he knows there's danger. He knows these monsters are out there, but he still puts the batteries back in, and he makes it make noise. And in an instant, a monster is there, and we see it, and the kid is gone. We flash forward to 432 days later. Next to these, we see a graphic on the screen, day 432. I think it's 432. Almost a little more than a year, not quite a year. Yes, almost a year after the boy has died, we come back to the movie and we see Emily Blunt is pregnant again. The question was, somebody asked the question on the internet, how do you bring a child into a world like this? But, I mean, how do you bring a child into a world like this?
Yeah.
We do it all the time with Ukraine and everything else.
I guess they had to have some quiet sex, though, huh?
Have to be quiet sex. You got to bite the pillow. You've got to,
There's different type. Molly always has quiet sex with me. I didn't know there was a different.
And
you have to be loud.
She's not snoring either, is she?
Sometimes. And Tom doesn't stop.
Doesn't matter.
Of course not. Tom is at home with a cantaloupe, I'm sure.
Mark, I just wanted to, while you talked about the kid, Bo, I was hoping and thought that he was going to make it to that kid, because I didn't know how quickly that would happen. I thought he was going to make it and save that kid. Not in my wildest imagination at the beginning of the movie did I think the kid was going to be dead.
Yeah, I didn't think so either when I first saw it. I would never have thought so. I wouldn't. How do you kill a kid, the most vulnerable person, at the top of the movie, 10 minutes in?
But it sets a tone. It sets a tone, and it shows how fast and how brutal those things are.
How completely lethal they are. Yeah, without they just leave a smear on the sidewalk, which they actually do. There's a rat, a rather fat rat, I thought.
I thought it was a raccoon.
Is it a raccoon?
It's a raccoon, yeah.
Okay, raccoons are all fat from eating all that garbage. That gets eaten by or taken by one of these things, and it's just left as a smear on the sand, a blood smear on the sand. I know, it's so brutal, it's so quick. We haven't seen these things first. We just have sensed their tension and their awareness of them, and their fear, and that's what the movie succeeds at, really, in a very great way. Is creating that kind of tension, creating the kind of the world where, like I said when I came out of it, I wanted to be very, very quiet because I don't want to bring one of these things down on me. I mean, anytime you walk away, we talked about this last time, I think, anytime you walk away from a movie, I'm reading nobody says anything. Thanks. And William said, it's Amazon Palm. Actually, Dad, thanks. Thanks, William. And Molly, I guess, said, welcome. Your comments do show up. Okay. Oh, yeah, they went off topic. But Tom looks like he belongs in a Tim and Eric sketch about Sony Walkmans or something.
Yeah.
Are you grooving, Tom?
Cool.
Yeah. That's William.
That's my son. It's my son.
Oh, that's your son. He goes by Will?
He goes by Will.
And that's why he's calling you. I thought that was you calling me Dad. Okay. That's
no.
Now you're going to have to call him Dad, Will.
Yeah. Anyway, where were we?
You're not that much older than me.
So I think this film does a really remarkable job of creating tension all the time. And it's from the beginning to the end. The woman, Emily Blunt's character, gives birth. And I've never given birth, but I've been in a room when birth, and it's not a quiet place. It's a bloody war zone. Bloody, emphasis on bloody, down there when you're popping a.
And she stepped on that freaking nail beforehand. I mean, to add insult to injury, that was just horrible.
No, she deserved that. I think she deserved it.
Why?
When she was pulling the sack of noise basically up the stairs. Instead of going quietly and unhooking whatever, she forced. You don't force anything in this world, and she found out why. Why would you? What if it ripped the bag open?
Well, then if you're forcing it not to go back and check.
Not to go back and check, and once you've stepped on it, not to bend it down. I mean, how does everybody else for the rest of the movie? It's one of my horrible fantasies. I've actually stepped on nails.
Ooh.
And it's a horrible feeling and a horrible fantasy. And it's hard to get it out because it's cylindrical. It goes in, it creates suction. You really have to force it out. And I completely agree. I'm not sure she deserves it just because she was.
Yeah, Tom.
Well, this world, the fear of consequences is big in this movie. And if you're not careful 100% of the time, the consequences are brutal. And she shouldn't have pulled.
And the consequences are final. That's the other thing I realized watching it. Not only are the consequences brutal, but they're final. I mean, one little
mistake
like that, a little mouth noise, a little groan during sex, like you say, and it could bring the end of the world to you. Yeah. So she should have. But the nail shouldn't. What's the nail doing there anyway? I mean, who's this father that leaves a nail sticking up, straight up, like it was there as a plant?
Tom would have grabbed the hammer. And
it was bent over.
It was bent over. Pounding a nail with a hammer is good in this.
Of course, that's the joke.
That's true. Well, all they have to do is light off some fireworks to distract everybody, and then 1 or 2 whacks. I mean, he takes he takes his son out on an expedition to collect something. I can't remember what they're collecting, but his son is very fearful.
Fish.
Yeah.
What?
They were fishing.
They're fishing. That's right. They're going to catch fish for dinner. And his son is very fearful. So he explains to him, and they go under a waterfall, and they have a normal conversation behind the waterfall because the water masks the more dominant, constant white noise sound of the waterfall masks their voice, and they're not going to attract.
So why aren't they living near the waterfall?
I know. Why don't they just live behind the waterfall?
That's what I would have done.
Right. And she uses that same trick later when the house begins to fill with water. Why does the house fill with water? Why is there a flood in the basement of this barn?
I think what happened was because that was later on, after there was already one. I guess all 3 of them in the area.
Right.
And the dad was carrying the wife and new baby back to their house.
Right.
And the baby started crying. So one of them followed him into the house.
Right.
But somehow magically, when he pulls the mattress over a hole in the floor, the thing doesn't fall through the mattress or hear them or follow them. It was weird. But I think when they came back out, everything looked like it was torn apart, like the thing had been going around up there and maybe tore a pipe out.
Oh, maybe tore a pipe out. Okay. I'll buy that. There was somebody on the internet said she ran the washing machine and it overflowed, but I don't think a washing machine would overflow that much water.
The laundry was in a different house too, I think.
And it was a different house. And do they run a washing machine? She does laundry. Does they run a washing? How do they run a washing machine?
I don't know.
It's a dry cleaner.
What?
It's a dry cleaner.
It's a dry. Yeah, that's right. A silent dry cleaner. Right. There are holes through it, but they don't feel like holes at the moment unless you're really being analytical. I mean, nothing ever dropped me out of the tension of the situation, even though I had those questions. Exactly. Well, yeah, they pull a mattress over the hole into the downstairs, and the thing doesn't step on it and fall through it, yet it tears the whole place apart. I'll buy that. I'll go along with that.
What he did to the water tower, that hole in the side of the water tower, that was a hard scene to watch with the kids, man. Sitting down. It was not the water tower, the grain silo or whatever.
It's a grain silo,
corn.
right?
Corn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah,
and then that door fell, helping them. The window fell down there to kind of help them.
Right, because they had something to hold them up. Although, that's confusing too, because I don't believe that if you fall into a grain silo at the top, that you will automatically just start sinking through the corn. I think if the corn is being let out,
if you're straight up and down, you might with a little surface.
Yeah.
But if you lay down, you're gonna spread your surface.
If you lay flat, I think your body will be fine. Unless the silage, the corn, the feed is being let out at the bottom, and sinking, and then you might go through it. So it is a great scene, and it's lots of tension because the boy falls through first, and he starts to sink. The girl goes down. She saves him, and then she starts to sink, and then he saves her, and then the door fell in, and they saved themselves by holding on to the door when the monster.
Sinking into the corn may have been the safest place because it's not airtight. You're just going to be annoyed, waiting to starve to death, or somebody save you.
I don't think you'd be able to breathe through that.
I don't think she could breathe.
There's so much dust in the air.
Yeah, when he pulled her up, she was like gasping for air.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, those things. I've never lived on a farm, but I know farmers, and those things are dangerous fire hazards too. There's so much dust in the air that it's really flammable. I mean, you could strike a match in the air and those things, and it'll burn. It'll flash into a fire sometimes.
Well, there's another hole then because they were lighting the bonfire right on top of that.
I know, right on top. I know. That signal fire, which I thought was a nice touch because all the people in the neighborhood then light fires at the same time. So you get the sense that there's some communication, but nobody clumps together in big. They don't have Thanksgiving dinner and all come together because it would be too noisy and they have to be quiet. But there's holes there, but it's nice that they have the silo to have a fire on top of and to have a place to sort of get away from it all and look out over the environment and signal your neighbors and see that everybody's. I guess that's how you find out that everybody's still alive. It's like the signal fires in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
it goes from mountaintop to mountaintop, which is a great sequence. I think I love that sequence.
Gondor needs help. That's what they were.
Exactly. Yeah. That's right. Come to Gondor, everybody. So, and at the end, there's a wonderful scene that an actor I used to know, Leon Rossum, plays an old man. They're walking when the boy and the father are walking home from their fishing trip. They pass an old man standing in the woods, and they look down, they see his wife has been presumably attacked by one of these creatures and is dead. And the old man looks at him, and he screws up his face and screws up his courage and screams, bringing the thing down on him. And they run, so they're away from it, and the thing comes and knocks him down one way, and then he's coming so fast, and then has to turn around and go back and jumps on him and eats him. And later in the movie, that moment is replicated when the children are trapped in a truck and the monster is on top of the truck. And this is all spoilers, but you guys have all watched it. Everybody's watched it. That's why so many people have so much to say. Is anybody watching us? Do you know if anybody's watching?
Yeah, we got a few.
You have a few? Good.
Yeah.
And John Krasinski, the father, drops an axe on the ground to make a noise to attract it, and then he tells his daughter that he loves her, and then he screams, and the thing attracts him, and miraculously the kid, who hadn't thought of it before but thinks of it now, releases the brake from the truck rolls down the hill. And this last time I watched it, I don't know, maybe I was writing something down or something, but that scene happened, and then you cut to later, blackout, and cut to later, and Emily Blunt is walking around the house, and you see through the window this vehicle coming down the road, and I thought, wow, is everything back to normal? And people are driving around, and then I realized it's just a few minutes later, and it's the truck rolling silently, engine not on, down the hill, coming to rest, and the kids come home, and the two kids. And now there's a third. They have a baby brother because she gives birth in a bathtub, all on her own. And we're ready for the sequel. And that's basically the movie. I think it's very successful for what it is. I mean, it's a monster movie. There's not a lot of other layers and levels to it. I mean, when Spielberg made Jaws, which is really a monster movie, and stumbled accidentally upon the idea of not making the monster, the shark, very visible, because he didn't have a shark that worked, so he had to shoot around the shark, which is makes the shark even more effective, I think. by not being visible. You just see you hear the music and you see the fin going by, you see a shadow, you see a part of him, but you hardly ever see the whole shark until the end. And when you do see the whole shark, in the end, when he's trying to swallow Robert Shaw, it's so obviously a fake shark.
Yeah.
But by that time you're in it. But Spielberg lays in this socio-political level of it about the town fathers being more interested in making money than they are in protecting
the mayor. Yeah,
the mayor and everybody else. And there's no underlying human, political, social justice, anything theme in this. It's just a post-apocalyptic world where everybody has to be really, really quiet, no end in sight. This may go on. These things seem to be indestructible. Our Navy and Army and Air Force hasn't seemed to be able to destroy them. At least there's no presence of them that I saw.
Well, I mean, look, they did show a vulnerability. I think we kind of glossed over because they did destroy one of them, and it had to do something to do with the girl's her hearing aid. The frequency, when they turned it up, it kind of messed with the monster, and then she was able to shoot it.
Right.
So they did destroy one.
Yeah, somehow she shot it with its mouth open or its face open so she could get the more vulnerable, the soft tissue inside. And yes, at the high frequencies, they've discovered that the high frequencies are the weakness. The father has written a note to himself and to everyone, what is the weakness? And the girl, who is deaf, I forgot to mention that, daughter is deaf, and she's like deaf since Millicent Simmons played the part, and she's been deaf since she was under a year.
You know what, Mark? That's how woke we are. We don't even see the disability anymore.
Yeah, that's right. We're cool. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Those kids grow on you quick, though, because at first I'm looking at them, I'm like, that's a good-looking couple. How'd they have these goofy-looking kids? But they grow on you. They're great. I love the kids, and I thought she was amazing.
She's great. The daughter, yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
But she has, and it has a name, and but there's an excellent implant in the brain, so it's not a regular hearing aid like mine. What?
It's a cochlear.
A cochlear, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so and she has it, and sometimes when you see her, when the camera sees just her and nobody else is in the scene, it goes really quiet because she doesn't hear a darn thing at all.
Yeah, I loved the way they did that.
Yeah,
kind of to differentiate, and this is like from her perspective.
It's terrifying, that one scene where she's crouched down in the road trying to find her brother, and the monster is right behind her, 10, 12 feet, but it can't, because she's quiet, it can't hear her.
And she can't hear it.
And she can't hear it. She's not aware of it, even though it kind of clicks and rattles. She can't hear it. So it's really terrifying.
It's probably for the best.
Because if she'd heard it and turned around, she would have screamed and smear on the sidewalk. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's remarkable. I think she really carries a big part of the movie. And that's right, William, as William said, the weakness is that when her cochlear, how do you pronounce it, Molly?
Cochlear.
Cochlear implant, yeah.
The cochlear implant, her cochlear implant and her hearing aid, when there's reverb, it goes really high. It deafens her, gives her a headache, but it also deafens. So she may have more in common with these creatures than anybody else. If only. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to say it showed that her father, how much he cared for her when she went in there, because she went down the steps, which she wasn't doing, and saw all the different trial and error that he had tried to work on for her. And it's just like, I mean, he did everything he could to try to give her the ability to hear.
Yeah, to let her have access to the world that he knows and that we know. Yeah, no, he did. He lots and lots of different kind of hearing aids, using parts from them, manufacturing one. He gives her one early in the movie. That is the one that she. Sorry, I had to check I got a notification, but it's only about the Cardinals. who are up there in your neighborhood. Oh, no, your guys come to St. Louis, I think, tomorrow. What were we talking about? Yes, that's what I say whenever I don't know what we're talking about. I just say yes now. Yes.
We're talking about the little girl and her cochlear and.
Oh, right, and yes, she's not allowed into the basement. Why is she not allowed in the basement? Because she can't hear what's happening, and there's too many things down there, microphones that she could make noise. So her father tells her early on not to go in the basement. Her mother insists that she goes down, and she, after the father's died, and she's come back, and she hesitates even there because she remembers her father's admonition to not go in the basement. But she does go down, and that's when she sees all the work he's been doing. She sees inside, and she's really the smart one. There's a wonderful moment when the mother brings the new baby down, and the son and the daughter comes down into the basement, and the mother just intuitively gives the baby to the boy and hides the boy with the baby in the corner. And the girl, just by her natural inclination is to look at all this electronic stuff and really, and not in an, I'm awed by this, but like in a curious way. What has he got going on here? How can I use this? I mean, it's a reversal of the traditional male-female roles. The boy gets the girl, that gets the baby, and the girl goes to work making something or whatever it is men think they do.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. Of course not.
The guy gets killed. The woman's the hero. It's enough already with all that.
Well, you must really hate the end when it's just the boy is off in the corner with the baby and the daughter and the mom. She cocks the shotgun once again, and the girl says, "Yep. We got this thing." And
I feel like she's pretty badass.
The girls are gonna save us, man.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, somebody's got to.
Why do we need saving?
Because we're fucked up.
Not all of us. Not all of us.
Yes, we are.
Just you and Tommy.
You're just good at hiding it. And you're not as good as you think.
I'm not that good at hiding it.
That's the secret of your comedy, is revealing it, not hiding it. Letting the sunshine out of your. Never mind. I'm getting lost. I'm getting confused. So there's not too much to say about this movie because there's not a lot that's really profound about it, except that fear can be dealt with. You just have to be smart and keep thinking. And I guess we like monster movies traditionally. My son has been watching on Friday nights and Sunday nights, and Saturday nights sometimes we'll watch a movie after dinner. And we always let Julius, my brother and I, let Julius pick the movie. Sometimes we pick it. We picked Judgment at Nuremberg and watched that. He liked that. But he picks movies like Planet of the Dinosaurs, which is a fiction movie about dinosaurs and people going on this planet. It's like Lost World, only it's Planet of the Dinosaurs. And he picks these old science fiction movies. I can't remember the ones we've watched because I blocked them out. But all you can do is laugh at them because it's kind of kitsch, because they're just so hokey and corny from the 50s and 60s, these movies. But we obviously, as a culture, love these movies. Post-apocalyptic movies now we like, particularly ever since we witnessed the post-apocalyptic world when we had that one particular president for 4 years. We began to all get serious images of what the post-apocalyptic world was like, just like reality TV.
I don't know. I think these last 2 years have been pretty doggone bad. I mean, come on.
It's bad.
But I would lay the last 2 years at the feet of the former president. You're trying to lay it at the feet of this president, and none of it can be laid at
Really? Come on.
individual.
Seriously. We don't
I
want to go
want to talk
into
about
this.
this movie more because I really, really enjoy it, and I think there's more to it.
Okay, good. Oh, well, good. Molly, I'd like to hear what there is because I'm not sure that there is. But if you think there's more to it, lay it in there.
Well, I mean, I got a lot out of this movie, and it was more than just your basic, horror movie because there was so much. It involved just all of the senses and all of the emotions, and it made me at least think about how it would be like going through, without your hearing like that, and especially in a situation like this for this poor girl who's I mean, in one way she's got an advantage, right? Because
well, she lives in a silent world, so it's easier for her to be silent
because she knows sign language. She's
right.
I mean, but at the other hand, there's a huge disadvantage for her because she can't hear if she's making noise.
Right. Yeah. She can't
she
even hear.
Could be doing something and making noise, and she doesn't know that it's making noise.
Right.
She can't hear if there's, a monster right behind her. She can't.
Pennies in a tin can that she picks up.
Yeah. So it really made me sit and just kind of think and go, man, and it puts you into, with those silent parts where you're just like, oh, I know it's there, but I can't hear it. It puts you into like her, point of view a little bit.
Right. No, it does very much.
To just kind of help you just be like, oh man, that's just something you don't normally think about and you take for granted.
Right.
Well,
all right.
Yeah. I thought this movie was keep going, Mom.
No, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to say
I thought this movie was a huge nod to the movie Alien as a horror movie, which is no one can hear you scream in space, and it's one of the first horror movies that use silence to terrify you. Right. So it's almost like they took that fear from Alien and said, how can we include a family? Because when you go on Alien, it's all like warriors and army units banding together. It's not a nuclear family, so they kind of brought the more emotional into it. They just made the aliens, if you want it silent like space, the aliens can hear you on this one. So now we have the silence. We even have the feminine heroes and everything, just like the original Alien.
Like the original Alien. That's right. I hadn't thought of that, but you're right. Even the monster resembles to a certain extent the monster in Alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except when his face opened out, another little head didn't come out.
Right.
Instead of another head, it was an ear.
It was the ear came out. That's right. The teeth are the same. The shape of the head, that kind of football shaped or rugby ball shaped head.
Yeah.
And the metallic and the strength and the brutality, the quickness.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good connection, and I'm sure that they're aware of that, of making that connection.
The clicking sounds, the weird noises it would make too. It was just odd.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is altogether good from the very beginning when it's so quiet, except that there's really low, almost earth, like the earth is moving. Just kind of almost a groan, like the earth is groaning, which is really good. The soundtrack, I think, was nominated for an Academy Award. I don't know if it won or not, but it is good because it's obviously a movie. It's about silence, has to be aware of sound, really critically aware of sound. But yeah.
It is a tough movie to watch when you have 4 birds in the room. Because it's so silent and mellow and
then all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Do your birds make noise, or they're the birds?
They were everywhere. It was just a room of birds.
They all went flying.
Oh, really?
So we had to put them away and then finish watching the movie.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. My dog watched it with me. He slept through most of it, but he was able to sleep. He never raised his head because a dog barked or a car honked its horn.
Our birds got a little more to worry about. A lot more predators.
Yeah, they're jumpy.
They're a little spazzy.
I'm reading these things. Are there more? Oh, there's more. Thanks, Will. Everybody thanks your son.
His son's very helpful. It's the best thing ever to happen to him, I think.
It's a metaphor for having elderly, irascible neighbors who will make your life miserable for any old normal noise.
Yep.
That's your son.
Yeah.
Is that you or is that your son?
No, that's my son.
Oh, okay, good. Your son obviously should get on the camera here.
Absolutely. Well, we've had him on once before.
Did we? I think we did.
We
I met
had a
him.
movie
Yeah.
with him. Yeah.
Yeah. My son wants to know when he gets to come back.
Well, anytime. He's welcome anytime.
Good.
That's
yeah.
up to Mark.
He's very eruditic.
He can use that.
The word he made up.
The next time your son says you're wrong about something, you can hold that over your head. Like, do you want to get back on the show?
Yeah, that's right.
I may have to be right.
You can't be on my show.
After we give the ratings, I would like to give a suggestion for the next one.
Okay, good. Well, let's do ratings now. I'll start because I want to start and let you guys go later. I'm going to give it. I'm not partial to this kind of movie, but I do think this movie is excellent of its kind, and I do get the alien connection. It's very respectful of its genre. It is good in the genre. It's not. It'll be a long time before people watch this movie and laugh, because I think it's very real. Has a real nice authenticity to it, and I think Emily Blunt is really mostly responsible for that. She's really a remarkable actress. Every time I see her, from comedies like Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, she was great in that.
Yeah. To Sicario, to all those, that sort of an action movie. And not so great in Woman on a Train or Girl on a Train, whatever it's called. But she's always really good, and she does those little things like Molly pointed out. She does those really well. She takes us through the what might be mundane little things, like how do you not scream when you step, unknowingly step on a nail and it goes into your foot? How do you not scream? Why she bites her hand at one time? When how do you experience labor quietly? She manages to do it until the fireworks go off and she can scream because there's a distraction. So I'll give it a 4. I don't want to give it a 5 because I give a 5 to movies that I really, really love and will go back to again and again. Yeah. And so I'm going to give it a 4, but it's probably deserving. If it was just picking this genre, a movie, and judging it just based on how it works in the genre, I would say it is deserving of a 5, but I'm going to give it a 4 because we tend to look at all movies here. And I think I've said why I think it's a 4, just because I'm not crazy about it, but it really works. I just don't like being scared. I mean, I cry an Alien, when the thing comes out of his chest, the first time I saw it, I was on the floor of the theater crying because it scared me so much. I don't like being scared.
You were crying?
I was crying.
You a grown man then?
You had to have help of mushrooms or something.
Were you high?
I was always high that decade.
I was on the floor crying in a theater? Come on. No, you can't take you anywhere, huh?
No, you can't take me anywhere. I'll go anywhere. All right, let's go clockwise. Let's see. That's my clockwise. Molly next.
Okay. Well, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think it's more than just a horror movie. Although, that scene where she pulls the nail out, it just had me cringing the whole time. And I just, what's coming. And then, when the little girl is taking her time going down the stairs too, you're thinking, oh no, not her too. Warn her about the nail.
I know.
And then she doesn't.
But I don't even think they were consciously doing that. Maybe they are, because they have everybody else. Maybe they were. Walks down the stairs, and I would have, if I was directing, I would have done an insert of the shot of the nail to make people remember
where her foot landed.
Yeah. And it's crazy that nail is there. I want to go back to the nail because it drives me nuts. Because he has places painted on the steps where you're supposed to step because that's where it doesn't squeak.
And on the floors of the
on the floors upstairs. Yeah, step here because it doesn't squeak. But there's a nail right where she puts her foot. Anyway, it's allowed to have one flaw, and that's the flaw. So go ahead.
I really thought somebody else was going to step on it as well.
Yeah.
Keep talking, Molly.
I really, really enjoy just all of the emotions and the journey that this movie puts you through, and you don't get that so often, and it really, really involves all your senses and makes you appreciate. And the first time that there's that big sound, it really scares the crap out of you because it's loud.
It looks beautiful too. The film is shot really beautifully.
It's shot beautifully. The sound editing is just beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of sound,
we have a train.
I like that sound effect though. It's a nice sound effect you have. Sounds real. Yeah, keep talking. Keep talking. Are you done? Are you talking? Oh, yeah. What?
I muted myself because of the train, but now you'll get the train.
Oh, okay. That's all right. I like hearing the train. Oh, it goes on for a long time, doesn't it?
It does, and it's right outside the window.
Oh, wow. All night long?
Yeah. There's all hours, different hours. It doesn't have a schedule, and every train conductor has a different whistle. So you can't just get used to it. It's different.
You've been given so many facts today. She bored me for 5 minutes on banana facts earlier. She just wouldn't stop.
Stop. Don't. Now they're going to want to know what those are. And
I know. I want to know. Well, we have to talk about the banana facts.
Bananas aren't what we eat. Bananas, apparently.
No.
Everything I know about bananas is against my will.
Someone that I work with, I was eating a banana, and he said, "You know what I just learned is something about the banana Laffy Taffy flavor is actually, we think it's like fake banana, but that it might actually be what bananas used to taste like because we've modified them so much. They used to have seeds, and we."
Right. Yeah, I know they used to have seeds. They got
So then I went and looked up. Then I went and Googled it and looked up and learned a lot more facts about bananas than I ever knew or wanted to know or knew I wanted to know. I don't know.
Shared them all with me.
I did.
Good. Well, that's nice. It's good she shares, Tom.
Yeah.
I do.
So anyway,
and we have United Fruit and probably Monsanto or DuPont to blame for all of that.
Yeah.
Plus a lot of so-called illegal aliens trying to get across our border. We have to thank United Fruit should get a thank you letter from all of us for creating a horrifying world for poor people to live in Central America. So they have to come to America. I'm glad they're here, but nobody ever points a finger at corporate America. Anyway, for me.
Yeah. Mark will.
I think a lot of people point fingers at corporate America.
As well they should.
Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I?
I don't know. I don't know. You seem like such a right-wing.
Will says grow Michael versus Kavanaugh and Cavendish, and that's exactly. How do you know? Did you just Google that?
What?
William's son.
I'm telling you, my son is brilliant.
He
knows about the different bananas.
There you go.
Why is he talking about high anxiety? Is that what he wants you to watch next time? High anxiety?
Oh, I don't know, but that's not the movie I was going to suggest.
Well, don't suggest it yet. Molly, you have to give a number. You're giving it a 5, I take it. Molly's.
Yes. So, you read about it a while back. Okay. Yeah. So the movie for me is definitely a 5. And, I was just about to say how I really, really hate when movies make me cry. I hate even more when they make me bawl uncontrollably. I was sobbing. And I had I'd seen this before and I had forgotten that he ends up dying at the end. And I was just uncontrollably because it's such an emotional scene. I mean,
how could you forget that?
Talk about heart-wrenching. When
she brought it out.
She had PTSD the first time.
Because you keep interrupting my review.
William, be quiet. I'll send you to the principal. Molly. So you really did get it. You fell into it. You took it all. You didn't see stuff coming, because the father. I knew that not that I knew it, but I feel it coming in the film, so it doesn't affect me emotionally. And Krasinski's character doesn't. He doesn't give himself enough. I think he's that kind of actor. He's a very generous actor, it seems like, but he doesn't give himself enough screen time for me to actually sort of be moved by him and to be that moved by him when he dies, when he voluntarily gives up his life to save his children. Because I keep thinking he didn't have to do that. There's got to be another way, but not for the movie to go on. Okay, William, your turn. So, now you can talk. Oh, Molly, do you have more to say?
No, it's okay.
No, I thought you were done. Molly, do you have more to say?
I had just been going to say, about that scene. Because, when the son and the daughter are talking, she's saying basically that she doesn't think that he loves her, and that she thinks he blames her for the younger son, for her brother's death. Yeah. And that undertone is throughout the entire movie, and to get
the mother blames herself for it. She could have been carrying him, she said. I should have been carrying him. Yeah.
So to get at least that closure with he finally realizes that she's blaming herself as much as she is, and he gets to tell her, like, I love you, I have always loved you. And something about it, to me, I thought right after that scene that it seemed a lot more emotional, with it being the sign language, than if it had been spoken like that, if he had been doing the same thing and actually talking. And it was just, to me, such a beautiful moment. As I guess that's probably what made me cry more than anything.
Yeah. I know what you mean. And sign language does make everything more emotional, I think, more. And it's just, I'd love to look at that. And every time I see something where people are speaking, I didn't watch Coda, so I haven't seen a whole movie about it. But when I see people speaking Amaslan, American Sign Language, is that what it's called? Amaslan? Aslan?
ASL.
ASL, yeah. It's just very moving. And I've seen plays in New London at the School for the Deaf, Theater for the Deaf, where they do whole plays, a whole deaf cast. And you can read it over here, but people are signing everything. And it's like they're dancers. Their physical control and the emotional. I mean, we all know that the eyes are more connected to the brain, to thinking, rational, and the ears are connected to the heart, or to the emotional, to an emotional thing. We remember things more. Well, what is it? Proust says we remember through taste, but the ears you can't stop your ears. You always hear something. If you're hearing, if your brain works like that, even if put your hands over your ears in the middle of the desert at night, you can hear your blood pumping. You can hear your breath going in and out. So you can close your eyes and not see, but it's almost impossible to not hear unless you lose your hearing. And it's always so emotional, and so it's interesting. Can you imagine how many times Krasinski has had to yell at everyone to shut the hell up? Yeah. All right. Yeah. No. Okay. I appreciate that. Okay. Good. I'm glad.
Well, because it's a silent film, right?
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
But then you could just cut the audio out. They could be as loud as they want, right? And you just get rid of the audio entirely and build it up.
What was this? There was a silent film that won an Oscar, The Artist, with that French guy. That was a silent film, but it was there's something very attractive by it. Okay. All right, let's move on, because I have
something that makes you feel that much emotion. I mean,
yeah, you've got to respect it. You got to respect it. That's good. Yeah.
William.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make it short and sweet. when I first saw this movie, though, at the beginning of it, it gave me such anxiety. Just to having to be silent.
Oh yeah.
That is torture
That
for
would
me.
be hard.
I mean, it's like, how long would I last? You said you wouldn't last long. I don't think I would last very long. But you take into consideration if you have your family, you have to be there for them.
Right.
And what a gift that was for him to do that for his family. I mean, look, their life sucks as it is. It's almost like, look, it's probably going to happen anyway. I might as well go out heroically saving my children, you know? So, I mean, like, but I thought the wife was the star of it.
She's definitely the center.
She's the center. And then the girl, like you said, the girl was too. I mean, she grabs you pretty quickly. So, but because of my anxiety, I can't give it more than a 4.
Okay.
But, yeah, I definitely want to see the next one. I don't know. I don't know if he's in it just in flashbacks or whatever. I would imagine so. There's no way he survived that.
No.
But there's a freedom in just yelling, like knowing it's going to end, but just like this, I've had enough of this shit. Ah!
It's like when De Niro yells with the gun at his head in Deer Hunter, where in order to pull the trigger, he But it's interesting between the two of you. Molly said, "I hate it when movies make me cry. I really hate it when movies make me sob." So she hates it when movies draw big emotion out of her, but she still gives it a 5. Now the movie is supposed to create anxiety in you, and it did successfully, but you fault it for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then.
I'm not that emotional in that sense. Like, I want to be entertained. I want something that's going to make me feel better. This did make me feel better. It made me think, Jesus, what a fucking horrible world to have to live in, you know?
Did you feel better at the end because they managed to survive such horrendous conditions?
You know, I'm kind of I don't think so, because it's just a matter of time. You know, I don't know what the second movie's about, but it's like,
but they know it's weakness now.
So you got a reprieve.
The second movie is a musical.
Yeah.
Tommy loves musicals.
Then they do 2 seasons of animated, and then they.
That's right. Okay, so 4. Let's go to Tom, because I have to go dinner.
All right. Shout out to Twisted Dreams. We do screen a lot of horror movies, so we're really happy to have a horror movie here. And horror movies don't hold up. You know, it's hard to get a blockbuster horror movie these days. And I have to give this movie a 5 because you didn't get a lot of information, because that gave you the sense that our characters didn't have a lot. Whatever happened quick, and all we know is this very little bit, and it throws you into that world of what would I do, and it gets you really thinking. And it wasn't just jump scares; there was terrifying for a while, real terror. So they didn't rely just on jump scares, and I'm grading it like I would a horror movie. They also had the huge hump, like you kind of brought up earlier, but I think it's bigger than people think. I did not see this movie in the theater because it was John Krasinski, and I couldn't get over Jim from The Office.
Right. Yeah, because
I'm like, this is going to be stupid. And I didn't even see Jim once in the movie. He did a great job of, breaking the mold of who he's. Could have a lot of actors get shoehorned into that. That's all you're going to be, and he broke out of it real quick. Nice. Didn't even see Jim or anything remind me of The Office. So that was he must have done something well to overcome that. And 5. Give it a 5.
Yeah. Okay, good. A 5. He does it. Yeah, no, he does it. I think he does a great job of directing it. And you're right. Get Out, which I think can be considered a horror movie, the Jordan Peele movie. That was kind of a big hit. Won an Academy Award for something. So horror movies, and I think of it as a horror movie because it's a horrible situation. It's just not a monster, except it's white people are the monsters, rich white people. you're right. They aren't blockbusters. We don't talk about them as though they're classic movies. And I'm not sure that this will be a classic or could be, but it does carve out a niche for itself. That the idea of this particular world where you have to be really quiet, and gives itself obstacles to conquer, and it does it really well, really well. I mean, I don't want to be patronizing or condescending. I think it does succeed in doing what it wants to do really well. And my qualification is just that it's not necessarily, like William doesn't like it because it makes him anxious, so he gives it a 4. I don't like it because I'm not crazy about these movies because they make me cry, and not sobbing ways like Molly does, but they make me cry because I'm so scared. So I give it a 4. But anyway, all right. So William, you had an idea for the next.
I do. It's a Danish film from 2020. I think it was made, and it's set in World War II. And the Danish version of it's called "In the Shadow of My Eye." The American version is called "The Bombardment."
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't heard anything
It's
of it.
based on a true story. And so what happened was the British were going to bomb the Gestapo headquarters in Copenhagen. And one of the planes went down. And what happened was they thought that the target where the plane went down was Gestapo headquarters. And it was actually a school with nuns and children. Okay. And that goes through. The acting is amazing in it. And I mean, like, I think it's got subtitles. Parts of it have English in it, but it will have you riveted. I don't even think you need to read the subtitles to know what's going on with this thing. Okay. So, like, they had accidentally bombed a school with nuns, thinking it was Gestapo headquarters. This actually happened. So it's a heavy subject, but it's really well done. And it's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. And it's called, and what's the Danish title?
It's called In the Shadow of My Eye.
Shadow of My Eye. All right. I'm not inclined in the shadow to trust William.
Okay.
Because I've followed him down the garden path once before.
Once. And we didn't even get a chance to review that movie because I was in the hospital.
Yeah,
with
COVID. That's hence the root of my mistrust is because I feel like you set me up.
No, I love that movie. My son is watching. He'll tell you that is one of our Christmas movies that we watch. We love it.
Okay. For 2 years.
What see? Okay,
it was
now
2020.
I'm talking about the Christmas movie he's talking about.
Is it 2 years I've been talking about it? Trapped in
Paradise? No. He's thinking of the movie I just talked about. You're talking about Trapped in Paradise, which is a lot older.
Well, that's but the fact that you loved it and you watch it with your family every year at Christmas and you love this movie, makes me cautious.
Why don't you?
I'm just all I'm going to say is that I'm just going to be cautious.
Okay.
But if you mess this up, you're done.
I'm not done, but it'll be a while before I could suggest again. Trust me on this one, Mark. Trust me on this one.
I will.
Thank you.
I'm willing to. Are you guys? Is that fine with you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
So Bombardment on Netflix or In the Shadow of My Eye on Danish movies somewhere.
Yeah. Right.
All right. That's what we'll watch. And 2 weeks from now. All right. And we'll talk later about whether or not this was successful, this live thing.
All right.
Yeah, we got Will's son.
Here, let's, Mark, give it your sign off and I can end the live.
What?
Give it your sign off and I can end the live and then we can.
Oh, okay, good. I'm going to, do I leave the studio?
No.
Okay.
Say goodbye.
Bye.
Okay.